Hi everyone from Spalding Elementary School. This is Mr. Turner, principal of Spalding Elementary School, and I would like to thank everyone for joining us for this presentation about the upcoming standardized test that your child will be participating in later this spring. We hope you find this format easy to follow and provides the information that you need to help your child feel more confident in preparing these upcoming assessments. Before we get started with this presentation, I'd like to say a few special thank yous to the following staff members in helping put together this presentation that you're about to observe. First, thank you to Mrs. Megan Ginther, our literacy specialist for Goshen Local Schools. I'd like to thank Mrs. Jennifer Tunison, third grade English Language Arts teacher. I'd like to thank fourth grade teacher, Science and Social Studies, Mrs. Jennifer Riley, fifth grade Science and Social Studies teacher, Mr. Eric Hounshell. And thank you to Ms. Jen Slosher, Assistant Principal of Spalding Elementary School. Thank you all so very much to these people that have helped make this presentation successful and possible. Our goal is to provide you with an overview of what assessments your child will be taking, what's being done to help prepare your child for these upcoming assessments, and how you can help your child be successful. You'll see our agenda for this presentation on this slide. So maybe the first question you have is, what test is my child going to take and when will they take it? On this slide, it will provide you with the dates your child will be tested. Looking below, third grade assessments. Each third grader will be taking the Reading Language Arts test, and those tests will happen on April 10th and April 11th of 2019. Third graders are also taking the math assessment, and then we'll be taking it on April 24th and April 25th. Our fourth graders will have two assessments as well, Reading Language Arts, which they will take on April 17th and April 18th, and they'll take the math assessment on May 1st and May 2nd. Our fifth graders will be taking three assessments, first one being Reading Language Arts on April 15th and 16th, and math on April 22nd and 23rd, finishing up with science on April 29th and April 30th. Please note these dates, and when possible, please plan all appointments and other needs for being out of school around these dates. Every day is a new and exciting day at Spalding Elementary School, and next we're going to talk a little bit about what Spalding is doing to prepare our students. First and foremost, we take great pride in the high quality instruction that your child is receiving through their classroom teacher. Next, our teachers are working to develop assessments that gauge student knowledge and skills, and with that, responding to what level of mastery the students are telling us that they have with the material that has been taught through the intervention and enriching activities for all of our learners, regardless of where they may be with regard to pace of their learning. Next, students are introduced to new vocabulary in their everyday learning. For example, they may hear things such as click the best response or responses, meaning there's no longer a filling in a bubble with their number 2 pencil, as you and I may be familiar with in our test-taking days. Next, teachers are using and developing tried and true test-taking strategies and adapting those for the online format of assessment. Lastly, we are a one-to-one Chromebook school, meaning all of our students have access and opportunities day in and day out to work in the online environment, and you may have heard terms such as Google Classroom or 10 marks or map assessment, ways that we are really getting our kids involved with the use of technology to help further and accelerate their learning. It's through these activities that we do hope that we are helping not only prepare our students for the upcoming assessments, but to be successful in what their future has in store for them.
Hello, I'm Megan Ginther, the literacy specialist for kindergarten through 5th grade. I'm going to speak with you a little bit about what is covered in English Language Arts classes in grades 3 through 5. There's several different types of skills that are covered, and they're under two big umbrella categories. The first is foundational skills such as word analysis, context clues, and comprehension. And the second is language skills, where students look at multiple meaning words, similes and metaphors, idioms and adages, antonyms and synonyms, and using various types of reference materials. In English Language Arts, we cover literature and informational texts throughout the year. In literature, students work on differentiating genres, so what types of stories are they reading, recalling details in a certain story, making inferences, summarizing, looking deeper at a character or the setting and the impact that has on the story, looking at the plot overall, comparing and contrasting points of view, often within two different texts, looking at theme, and connecting versions of a story, and of course the vocabulary that is used in the story to convey the message. In informational text, students focus in on main idea and details. They also infer and summarize. They look at how the content is organized, and they look at first-hand and second-hand accounts of informational texts, especially from historical occurrences. They also focus on using multiple sources for information, and once again, that academic vocabulary that is used in informational text. As far as writing goes, there are three different types of writing that are focused on in 3rd through 5th grades. The first one is argument or opinion writing, and then there's informative or informational writing, and the last one is narrative, both personal and fictional narrative. We look at paired texts and often compare and contrast those two paired texts and write about them. Students, of course, do research throughout the year in all 3 grade levels, and we focus on informational text as that has become a really big push for students to be able to find information easily and understand it. On the next slide, you'll see 3rd grade reading guarantee information. This does pertain obviously more to 3rd grade parents. The 3rd grade reading guarantee is a state law with the goal of all students being proficient readers by the end of 3rd grade. Students that are not proficient at the end of 3rd grade will be retained. We've been really encouraged by what we've seen with 3rd grade. They're all doing a great job, working really hard to get the 3rd grade reading guarantee passed. As far as promotion and retention goes, there's a couple different ways to receive promotion for the 3rd grade reading guarantee. 3rd graders must receive a 45 for the reading portion of the fall or spring air assessment. That's the state test that they take, or a score of 193 on a MAP assessment, which they take in the fall, winter, and spring. Those scores will promote them on to 4th grade. Retention will occur if one of these scores is not reached, but students on IEPs or that have been retained previously may be exempt from retention according to their IEP language. If students do not meet the benchmark number on MAP assessments at the beginning of the year, they are put on a RIMP, which just means a reading improvement and monitoring plan. Parents are informed of this. They're informed of the type of intervention the student is receiving, and we keep parents informed of the reading progress and services that are received throughout the year in order to get their child up to the 45 score mark on the AIR assessment or the 193 mark on the MAP assessment.
Now we have some ELA sample items from 3rd through 5th grade. In the 3rd grade example, there's a passage 1 and a passage 2, and they come from the same series of children's books. In some ways they are similar, and other ways they're different. Your child will be expected to click on the table as shown below to show which sentences describe the Great Shark Mystery, which ones describe the mystery of the hidden painting, and which ones actually describe both. So this is going to require your child to not only read the passages carefully, but also to reread and go back into the passages to make sure that they are accurately making their choices so that they don't get mixed up. Kids often want to rush through and they think, oh yeah, I remember seeing that in this one, but we remind the students that we read carefully and we reread and we make sure that we find our proof, our evidence. The fourth grade ELA sample item, we have the selection can be found by clicking on the link, and the students are asked to read the sentence from the story. And in this case, they're asked, what does swept away mean in the sentence? Now, oftentimes kids will see this type of question and make a quick judgment about whatever the word is, what they think that they know the definition is, but oftentimes it's directly related to the context in which just because a child thinks that he or she may know the answer, it doesn't mean that in that particular sentence that's the definition. So we really want to remind our students and would appreciate your help at home reminding students to just really look carefully at what they're being asked and how it's being asked. So in this case, they're to go back to that sentence and see how is swept away being used. And a student might instantly think cleaned up would be a great choice. We swept it away. But that's actually not the correct answer given the context of the sentence. So that's a good reminder. We are always trying to tell our students to read carefully and reread, but we would love your help with that at home as well. The sample item for fifth grade, as you can see, the questions can be very tricky. There's a passage that you can see on the left-hand side here, and then the first question is, which sentences best support the idea that the sea is important to Enzio and his family? Select two options. This can be very tricky because all of the answer choices are quotes from the passage. So students might be quick to select something and say, oh, I found that as my text evidence. However, they're being asked which sentences best support the idea. And so it's not just one in this case, it's going to be two. So that's another example of how important it is to carefully read and reread and really looking to make sure that we're not rushing through, just picking, as we say, grabbing our answers and going, really making sure that we're finding the best answers. And the second, we have which statement best summarizes the central idea of the text. There we go again with that, which one best summarizes. And as teachers, we're always trying to tell the kids that we understand that these can be tricky. We absolutely sympathize with that it can be very tricky when you have answer choices that sometimes really make you wonder, okay, this one, it could be this. And that's what they want. They really want to get your brain wheels turning, as we say. And we just want to encourage the kids to read carefully and make the selection that best, in this case, best summarizes the central idea of the text.
Now we will move into math. Third graders will be tested on multiplication and division, addition and subtraction, identifying and representing fractions on a number line, perimeter and area, measurement, time, and graphs, and classifying shapes by their attributes. Fourth graders will be tested on comparing, ordering, adding, subtracting, and multiplying fractions, place value, multi-digit multiplication, division, multi-step word problems, and multi-digit addition and subtraction. Fifth graders will be tested on adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing fractions, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing decimals, and geometry, classifying two-dimensional shapes, calculating perimeter, area, and volume. Now we have a few sample math problems. For third grade, you will see problem A, 12 times blank equals 36. Problem B, 24 divided by 4 equals blank. Problem C, blank times 7 equals 56. And problem D, 9 times blank equals 27. Students will need to figure out what number goes in the blank and type in the appropriate answer. Fourth grade sample problems. Students have learned how to multiply using an area model. They have shown the area model 40 plus 4 and 30 plus 7. They will need to create a multiplication expression that they would be able to solve using this area model. So in this case, it would be 44 times 37. And then they would need to be able to solve it. What is the total area in square units of the model? And finally, the sample fifth grade math problem. Descriptions of two shapes are given. Shape 1, a cube with a side length of 6 centimeters. Shape 2, a right rectangular prism with the same volume as shape 1, but a different length, width, and height. Enter a possible length, width, and height for shape 2. Students would need to be able to figure out different possibilities that would fit these requirements and fill in the blanks.
In the 5th grade, students will be taking a science test that covers major topics like Earth and space science, which covers cycles and patterns in the solar system, life science, that covers interconnections within ecosystems, and physical science, which covers light, sound, and motion. In the sample 5th grade science question, students will have to be able to read through information, interpret a map, and answer a 2-part question. In the first part, they must drag and drop their answer into the blank box that is provided. In the second part, the students make a selection in Table 1. Then they make a selection in Table 2 that receives energy from the factor in Table 1. This is just one example of one of the questions on the 5th grade science air test.
This is Miss Losher, the assistant principal at Spalding Elementary School. I wanted to let you know about some support services that are available here at Spalding. One of those support services is known as Target Time. That is an intervention and enrichment block that students have each day. In addition to that, we have some other services, including ESL services. These English language services are provided for students whom English is not their first language. We also have special education services for students who are identified with a disability. At Spalding, students have a daily Target Time intervention and enrichment block. Students are placed in groups based on test scores from the AIR assessment, Procore, MAP, and 10 marks. The groups change based on the latest test data and student needs. This time offers students extra practice on skills that are being taught in the classroom, as well as intervention and enrichment for those who need it. All students attend Target Time 5 days a week for 30 minutes each day. Many students receive intensive reading support through a program known as Leveled Literacy Intervention. This program is to improve their reading fluency and comprehension skills. By now you're probably wondering, what can you do to help your child? First and foremost, talk to your child about what he or she is learning in class. A great question to ask each day is, what did you learn today? Also, become familiar with what your child is studying in his or her grade level. Remind your child to use good study skills when studying for tests and completing homework. When reading to or with your child, ask them questions about what they are reading. Have them refer back to the original story or text as much as possible. Check your child's progress by checking grades regularly through Progress Book, our online grade book. If you need login information, please be sure to send a note to school requesting it. Be sure to attend parent-teacher conferences. Ensure that your child does their homework each night, which includes reading for at least 20 minutes. And encourage your child to play educational web-based math and reading games. Celebration Day is coming up on May 17th, 2019. It is the best day of the year, a day to celebrate excellent effort throughout the school year and in preparing for the AIR assessments. Students earn points toward Celebration Day by completing their work, putting forth their best effort on assignments and assessments, and doing their best at school. Celebration Day is so much fun. It's a day filled with inflatables, popcorn, slushies, face painting, cornhole, water relays, obstacles, and many more fun activities. I hope to see all of our students earn that day by doing their best and working hard.